good morning, everybody. My name is Joel Musongala. I'm a customer success manager here at Blue Elephant Solutions. Forgive me about my screen, what's written above. And this is a conference that another event that we did on the 16th. Just a short introduction of myself. I'm currently based out of Tel Aviv, and I focus on the following market: Israel, the UK, France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Monaco, and Switzerland. We welcome all of you. I hope you can all hear me very well. As for today, let me just get this. Just bear with me. So this is our L&D Executive Roundtable. This is a regular networking event that we do with all our L&D professionals. So thank you. Okay, so who is this event for? Okay, this event is for high-level learning and development professionals. It's for trainers, coaches, and L&D service providers, and also C-level executives. Okay, now why do we do these events? Now, we do these events to foster exchanges of ideas and best practices and create an international networking opportunity. Now, how do we do this? We do this with events that we do like here, specific focus topic, keynote speeches, introduction round, and sharing and discussion as well. Now, your host today at Blue Elephant Solution. A bit about our solutions. We cover 3 areas. One is consulting solutions, which basically looks at digitalization, business transform, process digitalization, AI enablement, and use AI to augment and advance processes, gamification, to gamify processes to gain employee buy-in. Number 2, we look at the software solutions, and this is project management, the requirement specific, solution sourcing, implementation, testing and support, development, customer web and mobile solution. And then the 3rd part is the learning solution. And that's learning and development consulting, strategic consulting, extended workbench, learning tools, off-the-shelf solutions, custom solutions, training content, content library, and custom development. Now, some of the selected references, companies that we currently work with, as you can see written there, we have the University of Mannheim, we have Funworks, we have Sage Fund, we have the Singapore Institute of Technology, and others as well. Now, AI-driven and gamified specified repetition solutions. So we have 2 areas. We have the knowledge gym and we have the knowledge empire as well. So you can all see that on your apps as well if you download it. And these are the awards that we've won so far. On the right hand side, you can see there we have the Leaders in Learning and Development Digital Transformation in 2021. In 2021, we won the Global Leader in Knowledge, Retention and Solutions. And in 2022, it's the best digitalization and gamification consultancy. Now, I'm very excited to introduce the CEO and founder of Blue Elephant Solutions, Christian Borchert, who's an expert in L&D gamification AI. He got a diploma in business and economics and computer science. He has an MBA in consulting. He has 20 years professional experience in Americas, in EMEA, and also APAC. He's a founder of 4 successful companies. He's passionate to drive learning impact, and is fascinated about artificial intelligence enablement. Now, Christian holds a diploma in business economics and computer science, as well as an executive MBA in international management consultancy. He worked for Vianova company, a consultant company mainly consulting CRM processes for BMW. He also worked for many years for Siemens, as a regional manager for sales enablement and sales education. He has founded, as I said, 4 companies, of which several are using AI technologies in different forms. So artificial intelligence, what is it? Now, intelligent machine, that's your part, right?
Take over, yeah.
Okay, sorry there. Okay,
no worries. Thank you for the introduction. I'm going to share my screen and continue exactly where you just stopped on the topic of artificial intelligence. So in this short, it's only really a short keynote speech to start the topic, because the core of this event is always the networking and the sharing between the different peers in the session. But I just want to give a little bit insight on this topic so far. So when you look at artificial intelligence and what it is, normally you would say it's intelligent machines that can think, learn, reason, and make decisions like humans. But there's a big but. They can do it on a scale and a speed that is far beyond what humans actually can achieve. And there's 2 main types that we differentiate. You differentiate between narrow AI, which is also known as the weak artificial intelligence, that is designed for solving a very specific task. And on the other hand, you have the general AI. Everybody has heard of ChatGPT at the moment. This is the strong AI. It's designed to perform any intellectual task that a human can do as well. So in like ChatGPT, you can ask them whatever you want, and they can give you solutions and feedbacks to a lot of different areas. Another way to look at this is on artificial intelligence and how does it work. So there's different approaches. There's the rule-based artificial intelligence that is programmed with a set of rules, and they follow the decision-making based on those rules. An example is given here of in the medical field, you have a set of symptoms, and based on the symptoms, you can then predict what kind of diagnosis would be given here, or what kind of medical condition would be diagnosed. On the other hand, you have machine learning, and this is what we now all, I think, most of the time think what artificial intelligence is. Trained on big data, they use algorithms to recognize the different patterns and then make predictions based on these patterns, often used in image recognition, in speech recognition, and areas like this. And a subset of machine learning is the deep learning. And you obviously have heard of this. This is the neural networks that simulate a little bit on how our brain is working. And that is also very strong in pattern recognition. Here, again, same as the machine learning, because it's a subtask. Image recognition, speech recognition are typical use cases of that. In general, not even looking at learning and development, what is artificial intelligence used for at the moment, and what kind of applications have been there so far? There's a very strong focus at the moment on natural language processing. As I mentioned, ChatGPT, but also Google has announced their NLP AI. Microsoft has just recently released that in Bing. So there's a lot of going on in this field at the moment. The second part is computer vision. I have a medical background with Siemens, so there it's about image recognition and recognizing, for example, cancer cells on a CT scan, but also recognizing facial expressions and things like this. Then artificial intelligence, very strongly, everybody knows Tesla in autonomous vehicles. Then in robotics, it's strongly used, and in personalized marketing, and many other fields where it's, I think now really this year and next year, we will see a very strong impact in a lot of industries through artificial intelligence. If we look into L&D, I researched some examples of how artificial intelligence is currently used in learning and development. And I'm also very keen to learn later on how you might use it at the moment, or what kind of use cases you see for the future. The first topic here would be the personalized learning experience. So you adopt the content, the pace, and the difficulty level for every individual learner. So really personalizing the learning experience. Another one super interesting is predictive analytics. So you try to predict when somebody might need which kind of information available, and then you push the learning content before the need for this information actually arises, so that when the need is there, they have the information present. Another area is the adaptive learning, a little bit similar to personalized learning. Here it's more about adopting the recommendation and personalized study plan. So it's not so much about the pace and the difficulty level, but really to understand what is the content that somebody might need, and then share that specific learning topics, for example, tailored to a certain position or to a certain level in the job. Intelligent tutoring will definitely be something that is also coming up way more stronger in the future. Here you use the natural language processing, artificial intelligence that can then engage with the learner. The learner can ask questions to the AI can give some answers to the learners. So it's really a tutor and a coach on the side of a learner. And that goes also really close hand in hand with the chatbots, which provide learners with on-demand support and assistance. You have learning analytics, where you try to gain insights into learner behaviors to then improve their outcomes. So what time of the day are they learning very well? What kind of, how long can they engage into a learning activity unless their performance drops down? And you use artificial intelligence to analyze this. There's one really great example that I saw, a company, I think actually also based in Singapore. They try to include face recognition. So they have a mobile phone app, and you learn on the app, and the mobile camera is recognizing the facial impressions to analyze if this learner is maybe having difficulties to understand something, and then adjusting the content to that. Talent development, another area to identify high potentials and create personalized development plans for those people. Content creation, you can also use artificial intelligence in learning and development to generate engaging and personalized content. And of course, there's many more applications that are possible. So this is really just to give you a little bit idea in how broadly this can be adopted. I want to now use maybe the next 2-3 minutes to give you some concrete examples. We're using our technology that we have implemented to show you really very concrete insights on how we do something. So when you look at the topic of personalized learning, adopt the content, the pace, and the difficulty level, and also to try to predict when some content would be relevant to be learned or to be repeated. We do have an algorithm in place that determines our platform basically works on the function that we say not a one-off learning is good, but you should repeat certain content at a specific time and interval. And our algorithm tries here really to adopt which kind of content. So we don't have a full 1 hour learning that you will repeat. You will only repeat certain specific content, learning contents at a specific time. And because we can adjust the timing, that also adjusts the difficulty level on when you start to forget. And we here also really have this predictive part, because we look at when you start forgetting certain content and when would be the ideal time to repeat it, so that you always have a certain degree of knowledge in this space. So that's one of the applications where we use artificial intelligence to personalize learning and predictive analytics. Another example on a tool we are just currently working on is the part on intelligent tutoring and chatbots. So what we're building is a tool. Here's an example of how you can practice a job interview, but you can of course do the same with selling skills, with negotiation techniques. You can do this with leadership technologies and so on. So the idea is the user, when he opens up the app, he selects a persona that he wants to have a job interview with. So, for example, the interrogator or the rule follower or whatever kind of persona he imagines to speak with when he applies for his job. Then this interviewer will ask, okay, like what kind of job are you applying for? Because we want to make this experience really personalized to you and your individual job. And then the artificial intelligence will actually act as the interviewer and you will act as the interviewee. And it's really using natural language processing to fluently answer to whatever kind of questions you ask, and the AI asks you questions. And at the end, you will then even get a scoring and you will get some hints and some tips from the AI on how you can, for example, improve what you just said, or what kind of information does the interviewer might want from you at this point in time. So it's not only that you can practice a conversation, but we directly give you feedback on how and where you can improve. And this one, we have it here as a separate app, but we will actually also include it into our standard product, Knowledge Gym, so that you can, as a company, you can actually define the use case. You can say this should be a job interview, this should be a sales pitch, or this should be whatever you can come up with. You can actually code this in there, and then your users, your employees can have the training inside the app. And last example that I want to share with you is on the topic of content generation. So this is also something that's implemented already. We have a function in our platform where you can just upload a PDF document. You then select the language in which you want to have the content created. You choose how many learning contents or questions, in this case we have quizzes, how many of those do you want to generate out of this, and you can even give specific keywords that the artificial intelligence should focus those questions on. And then as a result, you will get the format that we have defined. So like in our specific use case, there's always a title that is generated for the question, then the question itself, an explanation text, and then correct and incorrect answers. And the artificial intelligence actually also comes up with wrong answers, which are still somehow reasonable. And I think that's really the super powerful part of this one. Of course, you as a content creator here, you have the chance to modify all of this, because artificial intelligence, I would always say at the moment, can solve 80% of the topics and can reduce your working time and the cost that you have to create this by 80%, but still look over it, do some corrections. And this is actually what I can also show you in a quick live demo. So if we jump to this one, I'm going to close this one. So this is our back end where our company clients can create their training content. And we have a button here called AI Learning Question Generator. We upload a certain document that we want to use. I just downloaded here from a bank in Singapore, an example. It's their group code of conduct. It can be your product description. It can be your compliance guidelines. It can be whatever kind of, even training documents that you might have given in a live training and as a PowerPoint, you can then upload here. We leave the language English because this document is English. We say we want to generate 3 questions, and if we find, I'm just scrolling through here, so maybe we take anti-money laundering as one of the keywords, and then the AI will try to pick up on this one. It's not always guaranteed. It's not a strict algorithm. It's still artificial intelligence. So if I go to anti-money, and I'll set this as a keyword. I click on upload PDF and generate the questions. Now we, as the name says, we upload the PDF into our tool. We'll convert it into text so that we have text elements. We cut the text elements into smaller pieces. And then we look in which of those pieces are some of those keywords, and then the artificial intelligence picks those text elements and generates question and learning content out of this. So here, for example, one question is that the AI now came up with: what is the code of conduct about? And then as an explanation and also correct answer, the code of conduct is about the principles of personal and professional behavior expected of all UOB employees worldwide. And then it proposes a wrong answer. The code of conduct is about the principles of personal and professional behavior of all employees worldwide. What is the difference here? Of all employees and all UOB employees. So here it's of course all UOB employees is the difference. If this one would be now not good enough, you can also modify this. Behaviors of all UOB employees in Germany, and that would be then a wrong answer, and we just leave this as incorrect. Or the code of conduct is about the principles of personal behavior and expected of all UOB employees worldwide, but it's also personal and professional behavior, so it's not only the personal behavior. So in this way, the artificial intelligence really comes up with some useful, it's very close to the original, but it can also sometimes vary a lot. So here, for example, in this case, we only had generated one answer, which of course is not good enough. So in this case, we can actually add another answer option, and we can say what would be the wrong answer option here. We just type it in. And then the last one, it came up again with 4 answer options, and you see it's not always very, very close. In this case, the correct answer option would be a little bit more extensive, and then the other ones are relatively short. It's not really like we saw in the first example. So it varies the kind of difficulty level here. And then you can just click on save, and you have now this learning content embedded into your tool, and within a few seconds you can create full sets of trainings for your organization. Jumping back, there is of course also a word of warning, and that's the last 2 slides now, and then we go into the sharing. Word of warning. There is always a bias when you look into AI algorithms, and you really need to make sure that they are well trained and that they are also balanced in terms of the things that you want to get out of the system. Here, I'll later on mention another thing that is possible, but really the idea is be aware at least that there is biases in those things, and audit your artificial intelligence systems on a regular basis. The second risk or word of warning is here the loss of human interaction. There's still, I truly believe, even that we are in the IT industry and in EdTech company, there's nothing better than a face-to-face interaction and a face-to-face learning and training and coaching. Definitely, that's the very best you can have. So don't get rid of this completely. Don't forget the face-to-face interactions with teachers and peers. Through this emotion and this interaction, the learning is still one of the strongest. Use artificial intelligence to augment this, to make this better, to make this stronger, this experience, but don't completely forget that. And the last risk here is an ethical and privacy related risk. There can be concerns around data privacy and security, especially when it's about sensitive data is being collected and analyzed. For example, also to make decisions if somebody should stay in the job or if he's not good enough. And here it's really, or who should be promoted. It's very important that those systems are transparent and explainable, so that users really understand what happens with my data, how is it analyzed, and how is it used. So the last slide, and then we come to the sharing session, is future trends of AI that I saw when I looked at the topic in learning and development. There is, I think, a strong trend towards virtual reality training. There is You know, you probably have heard of Midjourney and DALL-E 2, who create virtual pictures based on text that you input. Now there's Facebook that is creating text to videos, or Meta, the Meta company is working on this one. Others probably too. And there is now also text to 3D environments coming up. So that will be probably one of the very strong applications in the future. You don't need to design the 3D environments anymore. In the virtual reality, you can just have AI generate that for you, probably even on the flow. So depending on how the user interacts with it, the artificial intelligence can adjust it automatically. Also, a very strong application is still in the natural language processing part, virtual tutors that interact in natural language. Computer vision, I mentioned that earlier, to read learners' facial expressions, to adopt content and difficulty levels, but also in other areas of computer vision. Explainable AI goes back to the topic of making the artificial intelligence more transparent and accountable, which explains on how certain conclusions were reached, so that it's actually understandable how how the AI came up with certain results. And then generative AI, which personalized content that is tailored to the learner's specific needs and really generates the content also on the fly. And emotional AI, to evaluate the mood and then adapt the experience to the learner's emotional state. So that can be combined with the facial expressions. It can also be combined with analyzing other emotional behaviors of this learner. And there's, of course, many other things possible. And we are very, very curious to hear now from you how you are applying it already in your organizations, and if there's anything we can develop together and drive this really amazing and interesting topic forward together. And having that said, I would hand over to Joel, and then we have a few minutes for concrete questions to this presentation, but really let's try to keep it short. And after that, we will have an introduction round, and everybody can share a little bit on his experience on this. So Joel, I hand over back to you, and then we can have some short questions on the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you so much for sharing everything. Hi, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. We're now on the question stage. Hear me? Can you guys hear me? Sorry, you couldn't hear me, yes, right? I'm so sorry. As I was saying, Chris, thank you so much for sharing everything. And I hope everyone enjoyed everything. I'm trying to, Chris, can you give me access so I can click? Okay, cool. Bear with me. Great. Okay, so we are now on the question stage. Okay, so now we've got our networking breakout. This is going to be around 20 minutes in total. Each person will have 1 and 2 minutes each. Please keep your answers short and allow everyone to share as well. This is just a kind of idea we have when we do this. So tell people about who you are, your name, your position, your company, your location, the current project you're working on, your experience and tips and tricks as well, and of course your questions too. And just on this, I also just wanted to, I'll mention this now, but it's something that we always want to expand this and make this better and learn from one another. We would be really, we'd love to ask you to propose to us even topics that you want covered. And if you'd like to speak in one of our topics, if you know someone that would be that would be interested to speak on one of these topics, please let us know and connect with us on LinkedIn and join us again. Okay, that's great. So Chris, I think you can take over that, right?
Yeah, maybe you just go back one slide and then we just start by calling people and then they can start introducing themselves.
I will have to. How do I do this? My apologies. Which slide was it?
I can share my screen. I'll do it.
Yeah, please do. You got it?
In a second. Yes. Good. So then I just look at the list and I see Carl here as the first one in my list. Carl, do you want to quickly introduce yourself, what position you have and what your experiences are with artificial intelligence?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name is Carl. I work as a learning and development specialist here at Exchange. We deal with logistics, and yeah, I'm trying to teach their colleagues on how everything works and what they should be doing in their job. We're located in Hamburg, Germany, but we have an office in Karachi as well. And my two big current projects is basically to build a learning hub where employees can find all types of knowledge for whatever they want to learn for their role or soft skills or whatever it might be, and to build a course library and focus on AMs and sales currently. But going forward, it will be for all departments. And I've been doing this for a bit more than a year. And tips and tricks. I have been using ChatGPT and WriteSonic for a few different content creation purposes, especially when it comes to texts or, say, examples of structures where, say, a Google search is not really that useful, but ChatGPT and so on has proven very, very useful for these sort of things.
So you really use it for a certain type of content creations already?
Mm-hmm. Every day, or basically anything that is need to write longer texts or so, or it can be, say a specific learning topic. So how describe how say how product management work on a base level, and then it creates something for us. And it's been very, very useful.
Okay, excellent. And is there specific any other areas that you might be interested in where maybe the rest of the group might be able to give some or share some ideas and experiences?
Well, not directly as such. I mean, I am very enamored by AI in general. So for me, any sort of smart use cases to improve content is always welcomed.
Okay, cool. Then maybe I would hand over to, on my list here, the next one is Johannes. Johannes, do you quickly want to introduce yourself and share your ideas?
I sure jump in, Christian. Welcome to this room. Thanks for having me here. I'm a one-man company. I'm a trainer located in Germany. I'm delivering training, seminars, stuff like that for medium size and also for some big companies here in Germany, mainly in Germany, such as a big Spanish bank, Santander, located obviously in Spain, but with a big branch here in Germany, delivering all kind of sales trainings and leadership trainings for different groups. My experience in artificial intelligence is pretty slim, to be honest. In my trainings, it so far has no aspects of artificial intelligence. The trainings are designed and delivered, and the learning experience is pretty on hand without any artificial intelligence components. However, I have some customers who have parallel to the trainings on site, an e-training. So that is, Christian, where we met in terms of gamification, and also now in terms of artificial intelligence, to have trainings be accompanied by digital learning experience. And so right now, nothing on my projects, but I think it's coming up soon. That's about it from my side here.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Rebecca would be the next on my list. Rebecca, do you want to share a little bit about what you're doing and how you see AI?
Hi, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Rebecca Utting. I am a learning design specialist with a rural insurance company based in New Zealand. My current project is similar to Carl's. Actually, and I've just finished doing the support for building a learning hub, and we're in the process of integrating that into our workplace's culture. I'm not the world's best public speaker, sorry. In terms of my experience, I've been doing digital learning for probably about 5 years, give or take. And before that, I've probably got about 10 years experience as a designer and illustrator. In terms of what we've been using AI for, we've tried to use ChatGPT a little bit to see what it would come up with for generating content that would teach specialized insurance knowledge, but obviously that's not quite specialized. The AI is still quite generalist in terms of what it produces. It's perfectly fine. But as a side gig, because I illustrate for my side hustles, I have been experimenting with it to try and generate images and imagery to see how far I can push it, and maybe bring down 10 hours of Photoshop work to 2 if possible. And yeah, I guess that's where we're at. Nice to meet you all.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to cut you.
Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background whining.
No worries. Then maybe Carl and Rebecca, you should also connect afterwards if you're both working on and building learning hubs. Maybe worth sharing some ideas on that. Yeah, it's amazing what the image generating AI can do nowadays. That was how we actually really, like half a year ago, started to see what the real power of artificial intelligence is, and then very quickly moved over to the text-to-text as well. Next one on my list would be Tatiana. Tatiana, do you also want to quickly introduce yourself and your take on artificial intelligence?
Hi, yes, sure, absolutely. Hi, Chris, and hi, everyone. And thank you for having me. So I'm currently a program manager at international study programs based in Prague, but I'm also in the middle of changing jobs, to be honest. So I'm sort of here and there at the same time. So next month it will be a completely different answer. And I've been working as a program manager, creating experiential learning experiences for students of business schools and business universities. And this is how we met with Chris. And but I'd like to tell you about my use of AI in a little bit of a different locale. So I was teaching English in the past, and I actually used AI back in 2019 when it was just, let's say, not as good as it's now. I used AI-based transformers to create stories with my students, usually with teenagers. So every time we would learn, let's say, a set of verbs and a set of nouns in English, we would load that into a transformer. I was supervising the whole process. And we wanted to see the story that the transformer would create following our cues. And I should tell you that it wasn't always a very safe option, because the transformer can be very unpredictable, right? It can create really, really gruesome stories. So I had to supervise quite a lot of this process so that, the kids don't get something disgusting, or let's say something just out there. So it was very tricky. I haven't tried it since. I believe now it would work way better than back in 2019. So this is kind of my experience. And besides, I've been using it for content creation. So just text-based content, for example, for posts or even for trying out some creative texts.
Interesting. I really like this topic that you just said. So you learn something and then you have directly a use case where you can apply what you just have learned. I mean, in language learning, it's the verbs and how that fits into a sentence. But that might actually be also something relevant for other things, like you learn some negotiation techniques and then give me an example of how that is applied, or you learn some behavior when it comes to compliant behavior and you get a story to how was that, like, positive or negative. Interesting. I also saw Rebecca, sorry, you were unmuted. You also wanted to add to this one?
I was just gonna ask and realized it was probably gonna sound weirder than I meant it to. But when you say disgusting bad stories, what, like, have you got an example? What do you mean?
Right, right, of course. Well, the thing with Transformers, at least the thing with Transformers, the way they worked in 2019 was that even if you feed it with, let's say, a nice set of verbs and a nice set of nouns, there would still the result can still be unpredictable. And for example, someone killed someone, and you don't really want to explore this topic in an English class, because for some students it can be, let's say, harsh. Well, killing someone is, I think, the mildest thing. There can be also all kinds of descriptions following that. So you don't really want to include that. That would be one example. So yes, someone killed someone, or it might get, let's say, extensively erotic also, because if you have such words as love, someone can make love, right? And when you're working with 11 years old, it can be a bit tricky. So these are kind of examples, not, let's say, on a disgusting side, but more on an inappropriate side.
Okay.
I hope it helped.
Certainly interesting.
And we also have Alessandro still in the call. Alessandro, do you maybe also want to quickly share your thought?
Yes, just a second. I'm also trying to, okay, hopefully, I don't know if you can see me. Maybe you can see me. Just a second. Okay. Hi, Chris. Thanks also for having me. Yes, so I'm Alessandro Maggioni, and I'm a media designer and art director at Badaboom Berlin. So it's a very small studio, actually, located in Berlin. And the project where I'm working at the moment is called basically Analog Metaverse, and is the setup that we developed to create virtual rooms out of tangible objects. So it's a little bit in general, the philosophy of our studio. So to create a digital engaging experience out of material that can be used like sketches or paper or such things. Exactly. So my experience with the AI is not so much. There is more curiosity, because again, we usually try, our focus is truly to put on a relevant position the creativity of especially the younger generation that take part to our projects. And let's say it's for me now, this is interesting, and what I'm trying to research, how this AI can become something that can be creatively used to even empower more the needs of or the talents of creation of younger generations. At the moment, I think honestly, I've used really just DALL-E for actually a presentation of a use case for a pitch. And that's until now my experience. So I cannot offer many tips and tricks. I'm really trying to listen and see how can somehow, empower the topics to which I'm focused on at the moment.
Maybe because I could imagine it's also interesting for the group, your virtual worlds that you build. have you use cases where this is applied in learning, or could you imagine on where this could maybe support learning experiences?
That is really interesting. The thing is, you have to imagine that this project that we are building as the form of a prototype, since the tools that we are using are so specific that somehow are more identifiable as a single hexabit, so it's not really scalable. But of course, as an experience of that was our starting idea, to develop something in which also, for example, a class of students could come and out of their physical object, something that they can draw, and they could, something they can draw, something they can cut or model with clay, then they could be able to create, let's call it an own virtual world. In the process, we discovered that it's very tricky and there are some roadblocks. So let's say the outcome is really interesting still. I don't know how much we will be able to scale this. This was anyway part of, let's say, of a process funding research.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. I mean, it sounds like when you say building like clay and then that turns into virtual reality, my first idea, of course, was like kindergarten, school, and like this kind of things. But actually, it might also be a nice team working or team building experience and like this kind of leadership trainings where it can flow in.
Yes, I must say that that is not out of the possibilities exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And we also have Michael still in the call. So I would also, Michael, maybe give you 2 minutes to quickly introduce yourself. And are you there, Michael? Apparently busy, maybe on a different call or something like this. So there.
But I don't know how can I catch this topic, because I am really new one for artificial intelligence, and what I know about GPT chat and other software, it's really a new revolution of digitalizing software and program. I'm really impressed. But to introduce myself, I'm finished economy University of Applied Science here in Ludwigshafen, and my specialty is controlling and financial accounting, and I really believe in the future my job will substitute with such software and new intelligence services like AI, so on, so what.
Maybe not really substituted, but it's probably changed. So I think it's still, you need the operators for the system. You still need to ask the AI the right questions to come up with the right content. So I don't think people need to be afraid of losing jobs, but need to be flexible to change the way they interact and do their job. Cool. Thank you so much. Now we still have a few minutes. We don't need to extend unlimited, but are there any other questions at this point in time? Any topics, anything you want to bring up on this roundtable? So I see shaking heads, and then I would say we can also really conclude this roundtable. Really, thank you very much for joining. We are super interested to learn from you if there's any other use cases that you see and that we can work on together, especially when it comes to this artificial intelligence. We hold these roundtables, not really on a regular basis, but every few months on a different topic. And we're very interested if you want to propose a topic, or if you want to propose a speaker, or if you want to yourself introduce one of your best practices and with this a topic to share that with other people online. We invite you, if you not have done so already, to connect on LinkedIn and join us to one of the next events to which we definitely will invite you again. So thank you very much and have a lovely rest of the day.